All right, it is 4:01 on Thursday, July 9th, 2020. We have a quorum. We actually have everybody here, which is good. We are socially distancing, but we did manage to squeeze everybody in because we got a full agenda today, and we found that it's probably going to work better to have everybody here in person. So I will call this library board meeting to order. First item is the approval of the agenda. For those sitting in the audience, they have printed out packets so they can follow along. And for those that are up here at the desks, we have the tablets. So I will make a motion to approve the agenda as it's shown. Do I have a second? Second. So I have a motion and a second. I am going to be calling an audible. I'm going to be moving item 5.5 up to be before we do the budget thing, and we'll wrap up with the budget because I'm not sure how long that's going to go. So that way we won't feel rushed by having other stuff to take care of afterwards. Is there any other business or anything, Paulina, that we need to?
No.
Okay. So I have a motion and a second, and with one change, and then all in favor of approving the agenda, say aye. Okay, aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carried. Second item is the approval of the minutes from last month's board meeting, the June 11th meeting. The meeting minutes were printed out. Hope everyone had a chance to review them. And I will make a motion to approve those minutes. Do I have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion, edits, corrections that anybody knows of? Okay, hearing none, then all in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carried. Okay, next we'll roll into the financial report. Paulina?
Okay, we are 50.81% through 2020, and our budget is approximately 45.98% expended. Some of the expenditures during this month were under general supplies. We had more totes for quarantining that we purchased. We replaced most of the power outlets for the workspaces, sanitizers, brackets for sanitizers. We put up hand sanitizers next to the doors when you come in. Some of our contractual maintenance building was 2 of the units, AC units. One on the southern end of the building was not cooling, so the thermostat wire was replaced, and we had GOC check 2 of the units for the Minnesota Music Hall of Fame. One of the ACs froze up, so those were cleaned, checked, and coolant was added, and the Minnesota Music Hall of Fame will be invoiced for that work according to our agreement. And then if you noticed, our audio-visual supplies, the percentage decreased from 70.75% in May to 46.92% in June, and that's due to the reimbursement checks that we received from Brown County Libraries for their share of the overdrive cost. So that's where overdrive budget comes out of.
All right, so no other budget items are going way out of whack or anything?
Nope.
All right, does anybody have any questions for Paulina regarding the financial report? All right, hearing none, then we'll move on to the librarian's report, starting with the library department activities report and statistics.
Okay.
Paulina?
The library was open by appointment to patrons seeking to use computer printing and scanning faxing services on June 1st. We opened to the public on June 15th at reduced hours. And that's Monday to Thursday, 11 to 7, and Friday, 11 to 4. Our Saturday hours resume this Saturday, July 11th. We will continue contactless pickup for those wishing to utilize it, and we'll have that available for the foreseeable future. We are in the midst of our summer reading program, Imagine Your Story, and we're about 4 weeks in. It's been slow but steady. To date, we've had about 75 Take It and Make It paper crafts that have been distributed. We've had story times every week, and Jolly Pops presented a great program for patrons to view online. If you look in the library activities, you'll notice the statistics for contactless pickup. So we averaged about, when we first began in May, we averaged about almost 200 a week. Right now, the last one I have in here is the week of June 22nd, when we averaged 14 that week. We kept computer use by appointment for a little bit. Right now, we have patrons who come in and just let us know when they leave, and we sanitize their workstations when they leave. So it's no longer so much by appointment, but people can come in and use the computers. We have 5 available for use. In terms of statistics, pretty normal. We're slowly creeping back up in our physical circulation. Usually, as you can see from past years, we average about 16,000, 17,000 physical items per month in the summer. Right now, we're about at 8,000 for the month of June, though our overdrive streak has been up. And then I can flow into programming. I did include what we have upcoming in programming. Some of the past programming that we have available on our YouTube channel is the pottery segment that NewCat filmed for us. We have some virtual book discussions, and memory lab training for patron is also available. Future programming will be more targeted. We have a mystery book discussion. It's virtual this coming Monday, July 13th at 6:30. Our programming and technology services librarian is planning a virtual cake decorating competition to take place sometime in August. We'll have more information as some structures and rules are worked out, and that will be virtual. He's also working with Red Dragon Gaming and NewCat to introduce some new games to the community through video recorded game sessions. And he's continuing memory lab usage, programming, setting up appointments with people, things like that. And that's it for our programming. At this point, as of right now, I attended a Traverse des Sioux library directors meeting this morning, and some of the library directors are not anticipating having any in-house programming, at least through the end of this year. At this point, I don't know when we'll kind of move into our next phase of reopening towards our regular hours, since we usually close at 8, open earlier, close later. So we're seeing how it goes in terms of traffic, things like that.
Are you getting any feedback from patrons who want the library opened earlier, or are they fine with the 11 a.m. opening?
We haven't heard anything yet.
Right. Well, when I was in the library yesterday, you guys have done a good job with the. They want the entrance to be the. You come in the entrance behind the book drop.
Yep.
And then you work your way out through the other entrance. That's
the
closer
hallway,
to,
yes.
down the hallway and past the children's room stairway, and then out past on the side by the music hall famed. So, and then you've got all X's marked off for where people can stand if they got to wait in line for checking books out. And I see you got all the plexiglass put up for.
Yes.
So, yeah. So good job on all that. And go ahead.
One thing on the opening of the use of the building, interesting over the weekend, went up to our lake, I was talking to some people up there, and one of them indicated they didn't think the library was open. Another person was not from Minnesota, but they indicated that they were doing some programming. I'm not exactly sure where they're from, and they do it on a first call, first served basis.
Oh, okay.
And then decide how much room they've got, how many people they can put down there, and that's what they were doing.
Okay. Was that a Minnesota library?
Pardon me?
Was that a Minnesota? Oh, okay.
They live in Wisconsin, but they're in Minnesota
okay.
more than
Right.
it's up toward Duluth.
Okay.
Duluth Superior. So they actually live in Wisconsin, but they spend as much time in Minnesota as they do over there.
Okay.
So I really don't know.
Okay, I can take a look. I know there's some ECHF programs coming up in other Traverse des Sioux libraries that they've applied for grants, and they have some of the smaller ones did it they don't have the programs meeting at the library, but elsewhere, and they are capping it based on capacity.
I was
Yeah, but that was, I think that's sometime in the fall. It's not coming up anytime soon, yeah.
just looking for use of that.
Mhm.
Founder's room is probably pretty small, but
Yes,
the
yeah.
basement is a little larger. And I
Mhm.
know when we started with a couple of book groups, we met down there.
Stairs, okay. Mhm.
So
Yeah.
It could be
Okay.
something too, like baseball's been opened back up and they've been turning people away.
Right.
Yep.
So if you want to get a spot, they can hold 250 people, and then you're taking your names and everything for safety purposes, and then anything above that, they're turning away. So
I just put it out there for expiration.
Mhm.
no, it's a
Right.
good
No,
idea.
no. No,
And
that-
and the library's been doing a good job too of publishing things in the paper, letting us know what's going on. So
Yeah, I mean, I anticipate hopefully we might be able to get some of our regular programming into the mix this fall, but we'll still, I don't know if we'll see a spike or what will happen in terms of cases, but I hope to do something potentially in the fall, so, yeah.
On that matter, you're opening Saturday now, are you?
As of this Saturday, yes,
Saturday?
mhm,
Oh, next Saturday.
mhm, yeah, 11th.
Told me it was this
Mhm.
Saturday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then speaking of book groups, I know MinLink is slowly talking about reopening as well. So hopefully, the projective date might be August for MinLink request, which I know we do utilize that quite a bit for some of our book club groups. So we'll see how that goes. The only concern is some of the university and colleges may not be opening their lending capacities. And I know there's a lot of stuff, especially depending on how schools will be doing, if people will be doing more online class work, what that will look like in terms of what they can actually obtain from universities if they don't open, if they're lending. Yeah.
Yeah, Ruth Ann here. Are you getting any guidance from the other librarians about protocols for sanitizing books? At least from what I've read, more and more the scientists are saying that this is really more of an airborne disease rather than a contact spread. So I'm just wondering if you've got information about that, or if that's something that's being discussed as far as having to sanitize the books or quarantine the books.
Right. We have not really been getting much guidance, except we have been following CDC guidelines for the most part. I know there was a study by Battelle out of Ohio where they tested materials, and we've been quarantining all our books 72 hours. So if something's still on your account, it means it's just sitting in the library. We don't have fines, so that shouldn't be a worry. But we are quarantining everything for 72 hours. I believe the only library within Traverse des Sioux that is sanitizing materials is St. Peter. Everyone else is quarantining. So yeah.
So can you give an update on the interlibrary loan? If, the
Oh,
shuttles and stuff running?
Sure.
or-
We the Traverse des Sioux Library Board approved going with Street Fleet, and they will start July 13th. Which is next Monday. Right now, we've been getting deliveries 3 times a week, and it's been done by drivers from the Traverse des Sioux office. So staff members have been driving books around since our contract with Alliance backed out of our contract. So this new contract, I think it was signed either today, because we just got the list of stops this afternoon, and it will start July 13th at 7 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. Yeah, and it looks like New Ulm will be at least 3 of the days, the first stop on the route, which is pretty great for us. Usually we've always gotten our deliveries in the late afternoons, so we'll be getting them in the morning.
So are all the other libraries that are in the route, are they open?
No, the Sibley County just opened up Sibley County, Watonwan opened up on this week, July 6th. I believe Sibley County libraries are by appointment only, and Wasikalister, none of their libraries have opened yet.
So if you go online and you don't find the book at the New Ulm Library and you do it's available at you know, Winthrop or something, and is there any indication that tells you that the library is open or closed? I mean, you could click it and then just
You
wait
could
and
click
wait
it,
and
yeah.
wait and wait.
I believe if a library is not lending anything, it restricts you from
Oh.
requesting. Yeah,
Okay.
I know MLC. We weren't able to request from MLC for a little bit, but that just opened up about a week or two ago. So there is a way in Sierra to restrict. What can be placed on hold. And so if someone's not open, it won't let you place a
Okay,
hold.
so does it show up like not available then?
Yeah, but, or I believe the button won't be there to request it in the catalog.
okay.
Yeah, if it's on a specific, but usually when you see a listing, it'll just go to, I believe it's like a 2-day turnaround where if someone doesn't fulfill it, it goes to the next library if they have it, or it's canceled.
Okay. All right, any other questions regarding activities, reports, statistics, programming? Carolyn?
I just have a comment. I had a chance to see part of the pottery demonstration.
Oh, yeah.
video. I thought it was very, very good quality, visually and audio. Very good.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, good job.
Thank you, New Cat.
All right, so then now we'll move on to the action items. We got a bunch of them to go through. The first few are just the first readings, so we'll review them, and then they'll be out there for the until the next meeting, when we'll have the second reading and then the approvals, because these are new policies or updates.
They're mostly updates.
The first one is resolution number 2020-13, first reading of approving the updates to the Memory Lab network policy. The Memory Lab network policy was adopted in 2019. The policy includes a couple of technical updates as well as a waiver of liability sections added by the city attorney. Attached is a copy of the updated policy with deleted material and added material noted. The changes are recommended by the library director and have been reviewed by the city council. And then, so the policy is in there. I'm not going to read through the whole thing. Basically says that in consideration for participation in the New Ulm Public Library's Memory Lab, the undersigned participant hereby agrees to the following. The first three items are basically holding the city and board members and representatives from any and all liability resulting out of the participants' use of the Memory Lab. It's indicating that, you know, your original material, there's a potential or possibility that it could be damaged or altered in some way by using it, and then so they want the participant to release the New Ulm Public Library, the City of New Ulm, and board members and representatives from any liabilities. And then section 4 says the participant hereby acknowledges that participant has carefully reviewed the foregoing provisions, fully understands the same, and voluntarily signs this document as a condition of participation in the New Ulm Public Library's Memory Lab system. And then the participant confirms that they have read it and will follow the policy. And then the policies, I think, is on the back side. And it says that the Memory Lab is a place. It is located on the first floor of the New Ulm Public Library with equipment for digitizing home media and scanning photographs, documents, and slides. It's a do-it-yourself model, meaning the library provides step-by-step instructions and you control the process from start to finish. Taking steps to care for your items will help you locate, reference, and reuse what you create as you embark on your personal archiving journey, ensuring security of your materials and legacy as you preserve cultural records. The Memory Lab can be booked in 1-hour increments, up to 3 hours per day at no cost. Due to the nature of the Memory Lab's role as a self-serve workspace, there may be limited staff assistance during a registered appointment. Transfer happens in real time. A 1-hour training session with library staff required prior to booking the Memory Lab. To schedule the training, you call the library or visit the website shown. Training sessions are based on staff availability. Before using the equipment during your book period or appointment. You must read, sign, and agree to the terms of the participant release form. The Memory Lab is designed for use by people ages 13 and older. Parental consent is required. Children ages 6 to 12 must be accompanied by a parent or legal guardian at all times. No food or drink is allowed in the Memory Lab area. In order to save your newly digitized work, you will need to bring your own storage device such as a flash drive or portable hard drive to save your work. The library does not provide or sell these storage devices on site, nor can the library store your files on its computers. Currently, the library has equipment to transfer VHS, VHS-C, Mini DV, HDV 1080i, DV Cam, DV, phonograph, audio cassette, Betamax, 3.5-inch floppy disk, photos, slides, negatives, and documents. So it's pretty all-inclusive. When I was out there yesterday using it, it does take a while. I had a videotape that was an hour and 15 minutes, and I was actually there for 4 hours because of the time that it took to it does a recording for it reads the thing, so it took an hour and 15 minutes of that. And then depending on the settings that you want to clean it up, the more intense you want it, the longer it's going to take and the bigger the file gets. So I'm wondering if people got 2-hour videos, if the 3 hours is going to be a sufficient amount of time. But I guess we'll find out as more people are using it. But then again, you can't have someone book it for the whole day and sit there also. And it is kind of intimidating. It's a stack of devices that look like a Radio Shack creation kind of thing. So it was good that Leroy came over and was able to help me. He basically turned everything on for me and says, okay, here's what you do. And then I whipped through it pretty quickly. And then just sat there while it happened. So I brought a book to read while it was going through that. And the only thing, keep the mouse moving every few minutes because it'll go into screensaver mode. Because one time I looked up, the screen was blank, and I panicked. And I figured, okay, move the mouse, and it came back up. So, all right, so that was the Memory Lab policy. So that'll be out there for the next month, and then we'll approve it at the next month's meeting. Next resolution.
I have a question.
Oh, go ahead.
I have a question. In the Memory Lab policy, paragraph 4, with regard to saying the Memory Lab's designed for use by people ages 13 and older, and then it says parental consent is required. Is there a parental consent form that's sort of a general form that you use for other things? Or
but there's a place in this for if you're under 18 to sign it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
all right,
Okay.
so
Yeah.
That, okay.
Yeah.
got it. Thank you.
It brings up a good point.
Just in
because-
case, I'm assuming if like someone might want to do something for their parent or grandparent
Sure.
kind of thing. Yeah.
It's good to have that.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, though, the 6 to 12-year-olds will probably run circles around the rest of us in terms of using this stuff. So I don't know why you need parental consent. It's probably the other way around. We probably need to have them help us.
But the parental
Yeah.
consent is right in the form.
It
Yes,
is.
it is. Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I apologize, I
Yeah.
just didn't
Oh no,
see
that's
that.
fine.
All right. Next item up is resolution number 2020-14. Again, the first reading. It's approving the update of volunteer policy and application. The volunteer policy was last amended in January 2011. The policy changes include language for recruitment, duties, and scheduling. Attaches a copy of the updated policy with deleted material and added material noted, as well as an updated volunteer policy application. These changes are recommended by the library director and have been reviewed by the city attorney. And then they have the volunteer policy, which I'm gonna waive the reading on that, but it's pretty inclusive about what it looks for in terms of the library is welcoming community members who would like to volunteer, and they kind of explain what the duties include, so that you kind of know what you're getting into before you volunteer. And then there's the current volunteer application, and then the new volunteer application, which has been made with some changes to it. The only thing I didn't note was that, and I'm not sure if the library has a policy for that, but, you know, to make sure that you're using the right form, you know, when you replace a form with a new form, or, I mean, is there usually like a footer that kind of indicates what form number it is, or anything like that?
We usually put, which I don't think I did on this one, we usually have something on the bottom in terms
Okay.
of what year it is. I updated this one mostly because I couldn't find the original copy of the previous one.
Okay,
So I think it's been a while, and then I added some language the city attorney suggested, so.
okay. 'Cause I was just wondering, because I know at 3M, we gotta do, document control is very important, and to make sure that you're using the right level document. How do you know this is the latest and greatest level? And I didn't know if the library had like any footer that would say, okay, this is version, 10 of this form.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
We usually do on most of our forms, yes.
Any questions on the volunteer policy and application? Alrighty, then we'll move on to resolution 2020-15, again, a first reading, approving the update of the behavioral policy. The behavioral policy was reviewed and approved in April 2016. Enclosed are the current and updated versions of the behavioral policy listing code of conduct expectations in the library. The penalties section has been left unchanged. These changes are recommended by the library director and have been reviewed by the city attorney. So then they have the current behavioral policy and the new one. The new one basically states that they want to maintain a safe library environment conducive to library use. New Ulm Public Library is used by hundreds of people each day to maintain pleasant facilities for all who visit. The library board has established the following rules to conduct for the comfort and protection of all who work in and use the library. Patrons are expected to adhere to the following code of conduct, and then there's a list of 23 items. It's probably not all inclusive, but I would say it catches probably like 99% of what could happen in terms of poor conduct. Then the penalties, section 2 is the penalties. The library director and his or her designated staff are authorized to interpret and enforce these policies in accordance with applicable law and to assure appropriate behavior of all persons in the library facilities. The degree of the violation will determine the response. Staff is instructed to call 911 immediately in response to any behavior that is deemed dangerous. Staff will call police for any behavior that is in violation of federal, state, or local ordinances. Staff will call the police if a person or group of people is asked to leave the library and they refuse to leave and or become uncooperative with a staff member. For most other violations of this policy, one warning will be given. Continued violations will result in the patron or patrons being asked to leave the library for the day, and then a serious violation or repeated violations or a violation where the police are called may result in longer exclusions from the library. An individual who is banned from the library may be criminally charged with trespassing if they return to the library property during the term of the ban. Any individual who is banned and whose library privileges have been revoked may request to have that decision reviewed by the library board. Any questions on the update of the behavioral policy?
This is Ruth Ann here. This is my question. And the policy is not a change from the old policy. But in the new policy, it's number 22. And it reads, as a listing, one of the prohibited behaviors is conducting any type of for-profit business without authorization. And I was just wondering, in your experience, are people asking to do this? Who would authorize it? Would it be authorized by the board? Would it be authorized? I mean, it just sort of baffled me. Who would authorize the library to be used for a for-profit business?
Right. I think that would probably be if someone were to come and ask, it would be a library board decision.
I know when we've had authors come in, they've been selling their books and stuff too. So,
Oh,
I mean,
thank
that
you.
might be an instance where I would think that's a for-profit.
Oh, thank you, I hadn't
thing.
thought about
Yeah.
that. Thank you, makes sense.
Mm.
But that would be authorized by, as an
Correct,
activity.
but I mean,
by-
in my opinion, the board has never, been asked about that, so I'm not sure who approved those kind of things, if it's the library director or if it's.
More than likely, yes. Yeah. But
Okay.
this is, I know, when I first started in libraries, there was, people were using libraries as, business addresses and things like that.
Oh,
Yeah, so, I mean, I think that probably stems from something like that, yeah, in terms of, not using your own personal address for something.
I have just a couple comments. One is, Pauline, in keeping with other policies and procedures of the library, would it be something that you would find in other policies or procedures where you use the phrase, the library director, and then you later say, his or her? Would it be something in keeping with other procedures and practices, language to say, instead of his or her, the library directors?
Okay, yeah.
And then the other thing is, in keeping with some of our past practices with respect to these policies and procedures, would it be your intent just to post these on our website for the 30 days between now and our next meeting so the public has a opportunity to react to it?
Yes, they are always, they're available within the board packet on the website.
Okay, very good, thanks.
And then I did talk to the city attorney, mostly because my own curiosity in terms of smoking. We only have a restriction to smoke in the building, no, not to smoke in the building. There is no city ordinance about smoking on the property. So if anyone, I don't know if the board would want to, or there's nothing like nothing banning a person standing like where the concrete bunker is and smoking. We don't have anything in there, and he suggested if we wanted to, we could add that in.
What does the rest of the city do, like, in terms of their other buildings?
I don't think there is anything.
I think that if we don't have one, I think we ought to strongly consider it. I think we have a lot of young patrons that come in and out of the facility, and others who may find that either offensive or just kind of a bad idea to do.
But we could also specify, like, we couldn't say on those two, on the Broadway and the First Street, because those are public sidewalks, but we could, say something about the sidewalk between the hallway door and the bunker door to come in, to specify whether or not, smoking is prohibited in that area. Maybe
many
not so much
yeah.
in someone's car, but just within
Within
there.
so many feet of the entrance.
Right, yeah, we could add that into if,
Do you notice much, does anybody notice any butts, cigarette butts or anything around?
I haven't really, have you,
There is
April?
an ash tray on the top of the outside.
Yeah.
Garbage can by the bunker that
Mhm.
is used, and we do have people who sit on that bench and smoke right outside of that.
Okay. So if we did enact any kind of no smoking on library property, then we'd want to remove that,
Right,
so that they don't get the idea that it's okay to do it there. And then they'd have to go out to the street or to
Right.
the sidewalk to smoke.
It's hard to see it here, but I know that, that at Perkins at one time had a little damage done to the building by people smoking along the edge. Now, this is a cement building or whatever, so I can't see that happening. but,
Right.
You do have, there are bushes there that, under the right conditions, that could catch, so.
So you talked to the city attorney about it? And
Yeah,
the
Tom
city
Borg-
attorney felt that,
If we wanted to, but he didn't, we could add it in, but there is nothing. Because I was just, I've worked in other places where you couldn't smoke within so many feet, like 50 feet, and I just wanted to, there was nothing in our policy, and I just reached out to see if there was anything in a city ordinance.
so there's nothing in the city ordinance, and as, the first reading does not contain, a provision, well, I would suggest, and if it's a motion, I'll make a motion, I would, suggest that before we get to the second reading, that that the library director approach the city attorney and, ask for, appropriate language to be
Okay.
added to the policy to prevent, smoking, around the library.
Okay, within so
itself.
many feet, okay.
Or
Okay.
whatever the city
Site plan.
attorney thinks would
Okay.
be the most appropriate.
Okay,
Okay. Yeah, I don't think we need a motion and a
Mhm.
approval on that, but it's been noted, and so, and that this, now's the time to do it, so I agree
Mhm.
with you. And it may be that, you know, we have a second reading and we have it appended and we let it wait another month before we approve it to make sure that it's satisfactory.
Mm.
okay.
And the attorney will tell us that.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
All right, anything else on the behavioral policy? All right, then we'll jump down to Resolution 2020-17, which is the first reading and adoption. Amendment to authorize the city attorney to prepare extension of building sharing agreement with New Ulm Community Access Television, or NewCat. Resolution 2020-10, authorizing the city attorney to prepare extension of building sharing agreement with New Ulm Community Access Television stipulated an error in the current terms of the agreement. The library director and NewCat coordinator recommend that the current 3-year extension of the building sharing agreement with the New Ulm Community Access Television at the current annual rate per space of $6.25 per square foot, plus 1.7% of the library's annual budgeted amount for utilities. Either party may terminate the agreement with a 120-day written notice. The library director and NewCat coordinator will present this proposal to the Cable Advisory Board at its next meeting, July 16th, 2020.
And that's just, I put in the wrong information in that last resolution.
So what was the error?
It was for the, I think someone pointed out, it was, a yearly renewal, and I believe it was not a 120-day, let me.
Okay.
I'll offer the resolution, waive the reading.
Okay, so then the new one then is the, it's a 3-year extension
Mm-hmm.
and 120-day written notice.
Yes, that's what we are currently on.
Okay.
So if I understand that, we're just gonna be open right now and continue with the 120 days for either side, is that
Mm-hmm,
correct?
yes. Mm-hmm.
All right, so did you make a motion,
Oh, yeah,
Rita?
I offer the resolution, waive the reading.
Okay, so I have a motion to approve this, authorizing the city attorney to prepare the extension. Do I have a second?
Second,
A motion and a second. Any further discussion or questions?
Yes, I have a question regarding the per square foot cost.
Mm-hmm.
Has that been a cost that has gone up in the last, when was the last time that was adjusted?
I believe it was adjusted 3 years ago, 4 years ago. It was about the same, but it just kind of increased. I think NewCat uses a little bit more storage downstairs in one of the closets that was added at that last time.
So, is part of the formula that develops the amount for that cost per square foot include the cost of our maintenance staff that keeps the building up in the area that they occupy?
I don't believe so. No, I don't believe our maintenance technician cleans the NewCat
He doesn't.
office, but I can double check on that. Yeah, I think NewCat does their own cleaning of their area.
Well, they must use the restrooms and the hallways.
Oh, they
and
do, yes, yeah. Mm-hmm.
for taping programs and so on. Okay. Well, I'm just wondering because the cost, of course, of the staff compensation goes up every year and has gone up every year. And if that's not reflected in our cost per square foot of the building, I don't know if it's worth looking into or not, but I was just curious if that was part of that formula.
Yeah, the utilities portion of it, you know, the 1.7% of the annual budgeted amount. So that whatever the
That
utilities
fluctuates.
go, that percentage, you know, stays constant. But yeah, that's a good question about the $6.25 per square foot. I mean, has that been tracking with, you know, cost of living increases
Mhm.
over the years, that kind of thing. But it's a reasonable deal too. I mean, we don't want to make it so outrageous for them, because Newcat's done a lot for helping the library as well. On like just recently when they redid the meeting room and stuff like
Oh,
that,
yes.
they helped helped out with that,
Mm-hmm.
provided their consultation as well as some assistance with the installation.
Mhm.
My question would be simply, does the director and the assistant, do you feel this is adequate amount?
Yes. Mhm. Mhm.
Well, I would just say, I think it's such a benefit to have NewCat in the library.
Same here.
They're right there,
Mhm.
you know, then they're right there. It just
Yep.
makes things so much easier.
So we want to make it reasonable, but not outrageous.
Yep.
All right, any other questions, concerns? All right, then all in favor of authorizing the city attorney to prepare the extension, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, motion carried. Now we'll jump back to item 5.4, which is the resolution 2020-16, first reading and adoption, approving the 2021 preliminary library budget. The attached 2021 preliminary library budget was prepared by the library director for required submission by July 31st, 2020 to the finance director. Note that the city council has not set a meeting with the city manager, finance director, and department heads to discuss the overall city budget. The library director will keep the library board informed about decisions affecting the library. The library director has estimated revenue under the categories of charges for services and fines and fees based on previous actual revenue and revenue generated so far in 2020. Based on those figures, no adjustments have been made to charges for services. The library director has assumed revenue from the Brown County Board of Commissioners may be increased by 1.5%, which is the recommended increase that the Brown County Library Board plans to request at its August meeting. Paperwork was submitted by June 26, 2020 to the Brown County Board of Commissioners by the Brown County Library Directors. The vast majority of revenues come from taxes general, which will be entered by the City Finance Department and approved by the City Council. One expense increase over which the Library Board has control is in cataloging and processing. This is an annual contract for services from Traverse the Sioux Library Cooperative, which is based on a formula that includes all TDS member libraries. New Ulm is being assessed 1%, or $559.49, increase for services in 2021. This amount may change as the Traverse Sioux Finance and Budget Committee meets on July 8th to discuss member fees again this year. The library's primary expense is in the personal services, which includes salaries and insurance, and these line items ultimately are set by the finance department. The finance director has indicated a 1 to 2% decrease in insurance group medical, a small decrease in insurance workers' comp, and a 1% increase in electricity. The library director has budgeted $20,000 in library interior renovation for carpeting replacement in the children's room. The revenue to cover this expense would come out of the library's fund balance. Therefore, our 2021 preliminary library revenue shows a 2.15% decrease, or $17,740.51. Note, our expenses showed a 2.31% decrease, excuse me, or $19,513.82 in 2020 over 2019. Below are the changes from the 2021 budget for line items the library board oversees. The expenditures are office supplies minus 500, general supplies minus 1,000, audio-visual supplies minus 3,000, books minus 5,000, computer supplies and equipment minus 3,000, cataloging and processing plus 559.49, communications minus 1,000, travel, conferences, and schools minus 500, contractual maintenance equipment minus 300, contractual maintenance books, minus 1,000. Subscriptions and memberships, minus 1,000. Special events programming, minus 2,000. So the total expenditures is minus $17,740.51. And then the library interior renovation coming out of fund balance is plus 20,000. Note, only budget codes with changes are included above. So then, also included with that is the budget worksheet, which I don't know if we need to go into, but then, I don't know, Pauline, if you have anything else to add?
So if you notice, the ones the library board oversees are bolded within the worksheet. I am on the Traverse des Sioux Budget and Finance Committee, and we voted on a potential decrease tomorrow to member fees, mostly because with signing the agreement with Street Fleet, the interlibrary loan courier service, we did see a savings. So that will be up for the TDS Library Board, up on the agenda for next week, whether or not that will pass or not. I haven't seen the numbers in terms of, well, I can't recall. I did see them yesterday, but I don't recall what that is for us. I think it's about, it's either about what it was last year, maybe a bit of a decrease from the 559 increase. I should have brought that with me. But otherwise, I did have a meeting with the city manager on Monday, and I did kind of, one of the questions I asked was about the budget, and the goal was to do a 5% decrease. I mean, that was the aim, but he's fine with what we have at 2.15.
Are we looking at actually saving more money this year because of COVID?
More than likely. Currently, we haven't really spent a lot in our obviously special events programming. We just got the invoice for the Jolly Pop. So some of our virtual programming, we are paying the performers for what they're providing. But for the most part, yes, I believe so. And we did have a healthy carryover last year, too. So we do have some money.
And with TBS,
TDS.
same thing? TDS, same thing?
Yes, they're
So
fine
if
so
there's
far.
services they're not providing, then they will not be charging or whatever.
Right, yeah. But for the most part, I think they're providing or are trying to provide what they can in these interesting times, especially with the courier. I know there's other systems within the country who, don't have any interlibrary loan services at all to any of their libraries. So the fact that the staff kind of took over and started providing interlibrary loan services to us has been great. Subscriptions and memberships are current. I know our reference librarian was taking a look at that. We did decrease it by 1,000. That's a little bit easier. Our Ancestry membership comes out of that line item, but for the most part, we've seen quite a bit of a drop in terms of what physical magazines are available, so that's an easy reduction as well.
So do you feel that the majority of the, if not all the reductions here, they're not going to create any kind of hardships for any of those line items?
I don't believe so, no. We always want more books, obviously, but I think we'll be okay.
Ruth Ann here. This is a question about revenue. In the third paragraph, you say that you assumed revenue from the Brown County Board of Commissioners may be increased by 1.5%. What do you base that on? Do you think there's going to be any problem with getting that increase from the commissioners? Do you think it's important that the library board attend that meeting? Do you plan to attend that meeting? Can you just tell me how that works?
Sure, yeah. For the most part, we usually try to get, or I don't know if Carl wants to talk. Carl attended with us. He's on the Brown County Library Board. We try to get a representative group of Brown County residents from all the communities to attend, especially rural residents. So if you know anyone too within rural Brown County. So we do usually pack the room when we go meet and ask for the increase. Last year, we asked for the percentage to be applied to our overdrive cost. So whatever increase we saw was distributed to overdrive first and then split between the 5 libraries. But I think the more people we have there, it's a little bit better. Yeah.
Well, you know, this year with COVID and social
Mhm.
distancing, is there another way that people can show their support besides attending that crowded meeting in that small room?
Call-
I can check. I don't know.
Call your
Yeah,
commissioner
That's true.
from your district, let them know of your interest.
That's true. Yeah.
Pauline is exactly correct that in the past several meetings that I've attended for the county board budget hearings for the library systems allocation from the board, that meeting room is
Small.
standing room only.
Right.
And it does help, I believe, for them to understand the interest that exists for maintaining the county's libraries and the support that they need. There is a commissioner that meets with the county library board as a liaison member, and there was a lot of discussion about, you know, their receipt of property tax revenue and how that may go with what's happening with local economies and unemployment and those kinds of issues, and how that impacts people's ability to pay property taxes on time. So their budget is kind of iffy as well at this point. But we felt as a library board that a 1.5% was, if nothing else, a placeholder, and letting them know that we still need resources, and you know, given how their circumstances play out with their overall budget, that if it's able to, you know, see their way to that kind of a allocation for the library board, that would be well utilized. So, other than attending the meeting, just contact commissioners or the county administrator to let them know your sentiments about how you feel towards their continuing to support the libraries.
Thanks, Carl. So again, this is the preliminary library budget, and you, Pauline, indicated that the library was looking, the city was looking for a 5% decrease, but you said that,
For each department, yes.
right, and that they felt comfortable with the decrease you're showing here, but you won't know that for sure until after they have their meeting, correct?
Right, yeah. And then I'll submit this to the finance director, and then we go from there in terms of budget
So
discussions.
we'll have other opportunities to approve final budgets as they roll in.
Usually this is the one that we approve.
Oh, it is?
Yes.
Okay.
I have a kind of a comment question. The portion of the budget, overall budget, that the board has discretion over is roughly 45% of the total budget. Is that what I understand?
I believe so, yes.
So 65% of the budget is controlled by the city council. And that includes personnel compensation. And that's, how is that going to come out in terms of a percent decrease or increase, do you know?
At this point, I don't know. I believe we're budgeting for an increase in salaries right now, but we haven't. We have 2 library aides that we haven't replaced yet, so I know we'll have some cost savings over the next couple, at least a month or 2, before we rehire 2 people. But I believe the increase in salaries was about close to 3% increase.
So there's some irony in that, I guess.
Right.
I'm concerned that of our decreases in our portion of this, that we're taking away $5,000 from our books, and $2,000 from programming and events, both budget items that really affect patrons. But my question is, in a $5,000 reduction in books, did I hear Vince say or read that there was an increase in cataloging costs? And how would that happen if we're decreasing the amount of books we're?
That is that's part of the cataloging and processing fees from Traverse to
Traverse to
Sue.
Sue fees, okay.
Yeah, those are the Traverse, but that's how they, there's different lines in terms of, we kind of call within our own budget, we call it cataloging and processing, but those are just strictly TDS fees.
Okay.
And that's automation, interlibrary loan, including MinLink, cataloging.
Okay.
We do process our own, beyond cataloging, we do process our own books in-house.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions concerning the budget then? All right, then I'll entertain a motion to approve the preliminary library budget as we've discussed.
So move.
Do I have a second?
A second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? And all in favor of approving the 2021 preliminary library budget as shown, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carried. All right, and that's all we have. There's no other business to do, so we will move on to adjournment. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I ask you to do